Spring is here in full vent. Tomorrow will be May. Let's get to it, man. This is a pivotal. It's Wednesday. I try to do this on Wednesday. Anyway, with the playoffs go, I'm gonna come out rapid fire with these Knicks fan segments. So we got to talk about the Knicks today. And I think it's pretty clear, pretty evident that Mr. Tom Thibodeau is just not in the Knicks' long-term future. I mean, look, the debate isn't whether he's a good coach. He's a good coach. Is he a Hall of Fame coach? Probably not. Better than most coaches. Probably better than the coaches coaching up against, who again is doing a great job. Some of these guys again, they deserve to be considered. They deserve to get the spots that they're given. Thibodeau in 5 years with the Knicks has done a good job. But and again, I'm going to start off on Thibodeau. I'm going to get to the course of the game, my takes. Look, at the end of the day, this is an EV match series. The biggest lead in this, I've watched every minute, just about. The biggest lead in the entire series has been 16. The Knicks should win this series. If they don't, it's a bigger indictment on Mr. Tom Thibodeau. But it's not an indictment on the roster. It's funny. Everybody Detroit was everybody's darling. They were the team that this is why I try some of the basketball conversations that I have. I try not to get. I get everybody has their take. My thing is when your take sounds like everybody else, you just go with a lot of people love to go with the flow. They love to go with the crowd. So before the series, everybody, Detroit is a team to watch out for. Detroit, they're going to beat the Knicks easily. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Detroit, the Knicks cannot handle the physicality. We've went back and forth. I mean, we sat there for about 58 hours between games 3 and games 4, hearing about the refs, game 4 and games 5, actually. Hearing about the refereeing and how they gave the Knicks a game. When they no-called a game that they were no-calling all along, right? That's the funny part, right? You whine about a no-call when you watch 47 minutes and 50 seconds of no-calling. And as like I said, there were 3 no-calls, 2 that should have went the Knicks' way, 1 that should have went the Pistons' way. But because it was the last one, that's all anybody could talk about. Now look, everybody, again, the media, everybody, the people, if you're not a Knicks fan, you're not rooting for the Knicks. Everybody wants to see the Knicks lose. Everybody thinks the Knicks are a joke. Everybody, all of the nonsense, right? All of that. I mean, how does a 51-win team get to be a joke? Why isn't Houston a joke? Why isn't Golden State a joke? Why aren't the Lakers a joke? Everybody knew that they were going to beat the Lakers. But again, bro, that's me clapping back at the haters. Haters gonna hate. That's what it is. We had to go out there and prove people wrong, right? This series been over, that was a 44-win team. So that's the thing. Now that there's a series, it's 3-2. We didn't close out. They came and beat us for the second time in the series on our home floor. Now that they're a 44-win team. But before the series, everybody, I read an article, 91% of bets were placed on the Pistons for the series. The Pistons going to need a miracle. Because, it looks good that Cade had 24, right? I guess he had the game high. But anybody that watched the game know that Cade was not great in that game. He was okay down the stretch. So anyway, with that said, the issue isn't the Knicks' talent. It is quite evident that the Knicks are more talented the Detroit Pistons. It is clear that the Knicks are one of the most talented teams in the league, especially in terms of the starters. And I'm one to say there is more talent in that bench than meets the eye. Problem is, again, look, McBride is playing a great series defensively, offensively, like he's leaving a lot on the table. It's not that many, and again, it's not that many opportunities. That's the issue. And again, this is all going to point back to Thibodeau, because this archaic style that he coaches, and again, I've heard so many takes about the timeout, this and the third. A lot of people, were you watching the game? Did you understand game time situation? Did you understand the timeouts? Did you understand we were in foul trouble? See, these are the things that matter, because had we had a foul to give, yes, we would have given the foul, but when you're down, you can't give a foul to get Brunson back in the game. There's no way that Brunson in 1.5 minutes, and he went to the scorer's table at about 2 minutes and something and change. So yes, we waited. Like when Brunson got hurt, we were down, and we were down by, I think it was like between 3 and 4 minutes. Could have been much longer than that. And unfortunately, him and Hart, they had to go and get worked on on the bench. They had to come out the game because both got injured on the same play. That's what happened. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I mean, you can't even blame the Pistons' physicality on it, because OG Anunoby is the one that kicked Brunson in the ankle. So, that I'm not going to give Thibs. See, everybody's giving Thibs crap for that. No, I'm giving Thibs crap for the fact that it came down to that. And I'm looking at what we are offensively. I'm looking at how we run it. We got 5 guys that they should not be able to guard. But when you're only when the play, every single play only involves 2 of them, no one is decoying, no one is making himself available, no one is becoming a threat. It becomes down in the crunch time, a 1-man game or a 2-man game. And I'm sorry, this is not the 90s anymore. There's one thing when people do criticize the 90s, we had a lot of that. Of course, we had better players to do a lot of that, what we're doing. But nowadays, you got defenses used to covering the entire floor. So looking at what the Knicks are offensively, what they do offensively, we just need a better coach. Trust me, I am not a playbook. Like I said in another one of my rants, I am not a playbook genius. I don't know too much about offenses, but I know when I see a bunch of stagnation, when you want y'all want the ball to move, but how can you move the ball to players that are covered already? The players that are just on the perimeter. No one's posting up. No one's dragging this man through. No movement off the ball. Yet y'all want ball movement. Well, again, these things have to be negotiated. I mean, these things have to be worked out. They have to be. You have to play with a purpose, move with a purpose. That's how these things. That's how it gets worked out. That's how. Not what we're doing. What we're doing is again, you got OG and Anunoby. See, again, like people criticizing Brunson. From on, if Brunson did get hit, because that's what happens. Every time he gets any lower leg contact, it's gonna come. I've never had a sprained ankle. What I hear is like a fluid buildup or something like that. The ankle will not be 100% at any point of the playoffs. We're good with that. As long as Brunson can come on here, and again, he's not playing efficiency-wise. He's not playing his best basketball. He is playing amazing basketball though. He really is. He's been the best player in the series. He won the best player last night. We needed a normal Brunson game. We probably win. But there's almost so much you can ask. And it's only so much you can ask when you're running an offense the style that we're running. It's not conducive to getting easy shots. There are very few easy shots. Basically, with Josh Hart is the one-man fast break. Other than that, we don't get fast breaks unless it's a cat and somebody runs out. We don't get fast breaks. Brunson ain't the point guard that's going to run up fast breaks too much, and he doesn't run it that well. Brunson is a half-court point guard. That's obvious as hell. Okay, so that is what it is. You live with that. Because again, a lot of guys suck in the half court. A lot of guys, like I noticed with Cade Cunningham, he's better in the half court than he is. In the full court than he is in the half court. He needs that he needs a downhill attack to the basket, a full head of steam, and driving lanes. That's what he needs. That's what he needs. He is good. I'm not saying he can't operate in the half court. He can be a demon in the half court. But especially against a guy like OG, against our defense, which is starting to really look good now. I still think overall we're mediocre. We're nowhere near where we were the last couple of years. Again, the personnel change, things like that. I'll give Thibs a break on that part. But I said this: if we're going to be mediocre defensively, if Thibs is not going to work, because I do believe, despite the personnel change, that good defense can be worked out. Good defense can be coached up, and Thibs is just running his basic style. Again, I've said this many times. Tom Thibodeau is a preparer. He's great at preparing a team. He's not great and he's not a great in-game coach. And that's the thing. Again, the timeout situation, they had to use that time. We had to leave that timeout in case we needed a last-second shot because of time. Y'all got to realize that we were down 6 at that point. We're down 2 possessions. So even if Brunson gets in the game, we got to get a stop. At that point, he was, you want to say either you couldn't take the foul. So you couldn't get him in the game by taking a foul. That would have been the other way to get him in the game. The other way, and we needed to stop. We didn't get to stop when we needed it. We didn't get to stop when we needed to stop. And when it came down to it, we didn't. If we come down and score, and that's my thing. Even without Brunson, Campaign took a horrible shot because what else was he going to do? If we ran any type of sensible offense, if we ran any type of sensible plays, Campaign doesn't have to force that shot up. Now, again, look, Campaign had the good game 1. We needed that to win, right? Other than that, I don't want to see Campaign anymore. We got Tyler Kolek back there. We can go out and trade for. First of all, I think we needed to get another guard in the front court. The back court with Brunson. I think we need another guy. I'm trying to think of who's out there. Really, LaMelo Ball is the prototype. I think if we traded for LaMelo Ball and moved him to the 2 to play next to Brunson, it doesn't really matter. You basically got 2 point guards. One is a big guard, one is a small guard, and both of them very dynamic in creating offense. I think that's the way to go. And I would trade Bridges, possibly Josh Hart, possibly McBride or whatever. Now you're taking a chance because LaMelo's always freaking hurt. You talk about the ankle injury. LaMelo's always hurt, but you're kind of swinging for the fences with that one. You're going to be swinging for the fences with that one. But it's a move that if it works out, it can work out big time. Because it just by nature, it solves a lot of what our issues are offensively. And we have them. Again, not the talent. We got 4 guys that can get 20. But then you realize when you're running plays where it's just 2 guys doing the action and everybody else is just really there to keep their man away, you're not making them a threat. Then you don't. It's like in these these plays where the game breaks down and you need a score, bro. I remember again the Knicks of the '90s, The old game 3, the old Tony Kukoc shot at the buzzer, and Scottie Pippen axed out. Patrick Ewing went and scored 3 buckets with the Knicks down 6. He scored 3 buckets in a row. Scottie Pippen missed 2 of them. We tied the game. Bulls got the ball last. And Kukoc made the shot. It's that simple. Stop the game from going to overtime. Wasn't no, if he missed that shot, we go to overtime. They gave it to Pippen and he missed that shot, we go to overtime. At that point, the Knicks, if you're coaching that style and you don't have the guy that can take their guy one-on-one in an ISO breakdown situation, the game is broken down, the plays, with Bridges and Carl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby on the floor with Campaign and Deuce, the Knicks should have brought that game home. And the problem is, again, now with Campaign and Deuce holding the ball, handling the ball, it's a lot different than Brunson and Hart, who are just naturally better players and naturally better creators. Okay? So at that point, look, this is, and again, this is the optimistic Knicks fan segment. We're going to probably win the series. I'm going to, look, I'm about 90% sure because I know this is the NBA, anything can happen. About 90% chance that the Knicks are going to end this series. It would be nice if we did it in Detroit in a laugher because Game 7 is going to be intense. Game 7 is going to be chippy, physical. We probably won't get out of there without an injury if we got to a Game 7. Really, we needed the damn rest right now. We needed the rest. But we didn't bring it home. We didn't play well enough. It was that simple. And so here we are. Going back to Detroit for Game 6, getting back on a flight instead of, getting a few days off and getting ready for Boston. Congrats to Boston for winning their series. But, this is where we are now. And Tom Thibodeau has got to go. I don't care what we do this year. Short of winning the championship. And even then, I'm still. Because I want to win another one. I want to go back to back. I'm not, look, anything, this is the NBA, anything can happen. See, everybody knew that Detroit was going to win. Everybody knew that the Lakers, nobody took Minnesota Timberwolves seriously. And now I got to see people in comments talking about, we're playing real competition. None of y'all gave Minnesota a shot for anything. None of y'all. I told you Minnesota was the hottest team in the West coming into the playoffs, other than OKC. I told y'all that. None of y'all had that. But anyway, whatever. People know things. They know the Knicks are not going to win a championship. Well, if we don't get it together offensively, yeah, I know we're not. But that's the thing. I know that there's a champion. This is a championship roster. If the right coach took over. Again, if we're going to be mediocre defensively, what do we need Thibs there for? To basically run an 8-man stale rotation? That everybody sees what's coming? Oh man, this ain't it. This ain't it. And end of the day, yeah, man. Look, optimistically, like I said, we're gonna win. I think we're gonna give Boston a series. We got to. And my fear of doing that is they think that that's enough to tip them. No, it is clear. The Knicks had a roster built for a little bit more innovation, a little just some things I'm seeing, like the way Cat can shoot. A different coach will get him a lot more cleaner looks. I mean, he made a logo 3. He wasn't great yesterday, but he made a logo 3. Since he had 17 points, that my edict that he has to score 4 points in each quarter, I know he didn't because there's no way he scored 4-4. There's no way he scored 4-4 and 5. 4-4-4-5. So there was a quarter where he didn't get 4 points. And that's like a guy like Towns. I don't care how. And I know he got the foul trouble. So maybe it was the third quarter where he didn't get it. I got to go and look and see. But a guy like Towns, in this type of series, should score 4, and again, 4. I'm asking 4. Really, preferably 5. Every quarter of NBA basketball. So if he has a 10, 15-point explosion, that should be a 30-point night. That should be a 20. He should be getting 25 every single night. For him to get 17, this is on Thibs. You can't. You want to give it to the players. You got this. Sometimes it's the GOAT. It's the point guards and the coaches. Hey, how you doing, man? All right. Sometimes it's their job to make everything easier for everybody, man. It's their job to make everything easier for everybody. But yeah, these things are these are things that, again, we've plateaued with it. Again, this is not a referendum on whether he's a good coach. He's just not a championship level coach, and this is the reason. This is the reason. I'm not buying that he runs people into the ground. I don't buy because guys are not getting injured. Like, I know Brunson has a lingering injury that will get aggravated when it takes contact, right? He actually has to get run into, kicked, whatever. And that's when you feel, that's when he feels the pressure on it. And so it really is about changing the shoe, wrapping up, readjusting the tape. He has to get to the athletic trainer. And that's why he had to come out of the game last night. Wasn't that he's injured and can't go, again, unless he twists it again or turns it again. This is what's gonna take place. So Josh Hart injury was also just one of them things, man. He got hit in the head, fell on the ground, whatever. Had to get the smelling salt and whatever and get back in the game. But that's what happened. I mean, they had to come out of the game. If you had to make the foul to get him out of the game, if they couldn't, they would have asked you, can you continue or whatever. And so that's what happened. But yeah, this is not a referendum on whether Thibs is a good coach or whether, he's done a good job here. Here's the problem. The Knicks need to go to another level, and we've plateaued. This is as far as he can take us. If you're not going to be a better offensive mind, if you're not going to run more imaginative sets, more imaginative plays, if you're not going to run a more imaginative rotation, this is it. As far as he gets you. And that's just my issue. I'm sick of going back and forth. Sick of going back and forth. So, look, that's I'm gonna end it here. But there we are. Optimistic Knicks Fan, episode 8.